The Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, has filed a lawsuit against the Senate President Godswill Akpabio and 9 other former governors in the 10th Senate over their collection of both salaries and pension as senators. This was disclosed in a statement on Sunday by Serap Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare. Joined as respondents in the suit filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja, where Abdulaziz Yari, Aminu Tamboa, Adamo Alaro, Adams Oshomole, Ibrahim Gaidam, Serake Dixon, Ibrahim Dankabo, Aliu Wamako, Benga Daniels, and David Umahi. Serap is seeking an order of mandamus to direct and compel them to stop collecting both salaries and pension and to return any pension collected to their respective state treasuries. They are also to clarify and disclose if they have what they have collected and are currently collecting both salaries and pension as former governors. An order of mandamus is also directed and compelled them to disclose the details and amounts of pension so far received by them. Serap is arguing that the 7th schedule to the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended requires the former governors to stop collecting both salaries and pension and to return any pension collected. The group said unless the reliefs are granted, the former governors will continue to both enjoy life pension packages and collect salaries, serving public officers, and indeed a travesty and public self-interest would continue on their notes. And that brings us to the big story for today. Just as we also will be asking the questions, how can these former governors be compelled to do away with their largesse? And if it's possible, what should be done about those monies already collected? Well, like I said, all of these will take center stage on the big story for today as we look at Serap suits and the issue of double pay for senators, ex-governors. And that's what we're looking at as a major today on the big story. We're looking at that Serap suit and also looking at the issue of double pay of senators that are ex-governors. And to truly look at it, he has always been with us with these issues. Just as Serap is also is a member for the movement for good governance and democracy in Nigeria. And I'm talking of no other person but Mr. Emeka Wonkucha. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Mike.
Once again, we're really talking about the issue of good governance and the issue of bringing to accountability our public officers. Well, anyway, let's just quickly go to the suit because we follow the suit with reference number FHC/ABJ/CS/1360/2023. And funny enough, it was filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Now, all Serap is saying is that for these former governors, now senators, to stop collecting pensions as former governors and salaries while serving as public officers, and they feel it's a flagrant violation of the letter of the spirit of the Nigerian Constitution and the public trust. But I also trust that you also know that these monies collected by these senators, ex-governors, is also backed by their different state laws.
Good.
That we know.
Good.
But if you also would go to paragraph 2A of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers in the 5th Schedule, Part 1 of the Nigerian Constitution, it provides in part a public officer shall not receive or be paid the monies of any public office at the same time as he receives or be paid the money of any other public office. And knowing that the Nigerian Constitution is the grand norm, do you see this case going through and compelling these governors to do so? Because I'm really keen in getting your reaction to it. Do you see, is it likely that we're finally going to have them compelled to stop collecting this money? And in all, I'm really keen to get your reaction as it concerns this suit.
Yes, Mr. Mike, this question hits me very hard, and I want to react this way.
Okay.
Not minding whose ox is God. Mr. Mike, if we are sane human beings that understand the tenets of laws, if truly we are practicing true democracy, as Nigerian government has always come to speak in the open, if truly we are educated, if truly we are practicing federal system of government, if truly we have national assembly both at federal and states, whereby those who were elected or are being elected are supposedly learned and intelligent men, the suit by Serap currently is an indictment on the national assemblies who on their own came together and they allowed or rather approved those Najis for the ex-governors. Why? Because it's an infraction of the Nigerian constitution. The fifth schedule, paragraph 2A, has stated it that any public official shall not receive or be paid any emolument for any public office, same as at the same time as he would not receive, or he is to receive an emolument for any other office. In other words, you cannot stand in one place and begin to receive two emoluments at the same time. So the constitution is so clear about that. Then the question we should be asking is this: would you tell me that the National Assembly members of these states that are approved this very obnoxious Najis for the ex-executives are not conversant with the law? The issue we are talking about here is, I see, we always come here to speak about how public officials run Nigerian democracy.
Okay.
They tend to suspend the constitution. They tend to do what pleases them, irrespective of the fact that even the state they are running is endemically poor. So, going by it, if we truly have judicial institutions, Mr. Mike, what's the only effort Serap should make is just to go to the court on that day and present this case. As soon as that case is presented, Mr. Mike, that case is won. And you will still agree with me to further support Serap's case, to make you understand that our legislators and our leaders are taking Nigerians for a ride. They see Nigerians as people who cannot put one and one together and make a reason out of it. Justice Oluremi Oguntoyibo.
Yeah, because that's where we're going.
On 26th of November 2019, made a fundamental pronouncement on similar case, whereby it says that it is inconsistent with the laws of this country, and it is invalid and illegal for governors to receive double emoluments. Mr. Mike, what other effort do you want Serap to do?
Okay, now let's look at it, because as much as Serap has really instituted this case, like you said, we still remember that landmark judgment on the 26th of November 2019 by Justice Oluremi. But if that's more of a landmark case dealing with the issue of double pay, why now has the Salary and Emoluments Commission not CDs and stop the pay of these senators, all in a bid for them to remember that they are also collecting pays from the different states as pensions? So why are these agencies saddled with that responsibility of checking all of these excesses, not being able to do so?
Yes, let me tell you, Mr. Mike.
Because if they did, Serap would definitely not institute that case on Friday.
Let me tell you, Mr. Mike, I want to give kudos to Zamfara State government and Igbo State government.
Okay.
These are two governments, that have come to say that law
should be abolished.
Should be abolished and repealed.
Okay.
And they have done so. To start from that, which is a precedent already set.
Yes.
The question you ask, Mr. Mike, is so simple to answer. If we truly have laws, if we truly have responsible persons behind and run the laws, if we truly have institutions that have been constituted, that have been put on ground to ensure that the laws are respected, to making sure that the laws are sacrosanct, that the laws are not respected of any personality, whoever implements those policies that are in contravention of the law should have a question to answer in the law court currently now. But why these things go like that with impunity is that
unnoticed.
Oh no, not even unnoticed. People they didn't do this thing meeting in secrecy. When the National Assemblies were coming to enact that law, it was debated openly.
But it was a total violation. Of paragraph.
It is a test. It is a test.
Schedule 5 of the Nigerian Constitution.
Mr. Man, let me tell you what's happening in this country. See, these people who are spoken about, our leaders, who do not have the interest of the people, first and foremost, they have been there. It's not to do your biddings. They have been there. It's not to advance democracy. They have been there. It's not to harness the resources of this state for the benefit of the people. They have been there is just for their own personal aggrandizement. They have been there is to expropriate, the public patrimony for their own personal upkeep. Not wanting, not minding, the state of the people. So they have a different mindset going there, Mr. Mike. So you don't even expect them to do anything that is clean, anything that tends to venerate the law, and anything that tends to uphold the law. Ordinarily, when you were elected and you were there to take your oath of office, what that oath statement means? That you have to defend that oath and to ensure you hold on to the laws jealously and implement the laws in line with the principles of democracy. Didn't they take the oath? Didn't they sign the statement? But at the end of the day, what are they doing? It is the test of the wit of the populace of the people. They know what they are doing. It is not a mistake. These are people who are prodded, to practice corruption to high heavens, not minding whether their citizens are dying. And it will surprise you to know that, take Cross River State. No, take Akwa Ibom State, for instance. If I begin to read out the largesse, the embarrassing, how do you call it, pension allowances accruable to the ex-governor, you marvel. And this is a state. 71% currently, according to MBS statistics of 2022, 71% of the population of 5.451 million is living below poverty line, extremely poor. In such a state, this is what the National Assembly could approve. It's more or less like the state has come to say, you rule us well. All the 8 years you did, everything about our life have been met. We applaud you and we are giving you a parting gift. That's exactly what it means. Under that stinking, corrupt situation issues that bedeviled the state over the 8 years, where you cannot say, persons of high integrity have ruled this state, and this is actually the extent they have taken this state in terms of development, in terms of the well-being of the people. You cannot trace anything. But at the end of the day, when you are leaving office, the only thing they thought wise to do is to further enrich the already enriched governors. So for me, yes, they have erred. They erred, but it is left for the citizens to do what? To rise up, to ensure that this
Emeka Wonkocha, let's look at it, because I'm still looking at the suit of Serap, and I'm being forced to ask. Now, Serap over the years have had countless cases against the federal government.
Yes.
And in 2021 alone, they had about 21 lawsuits against the federal government.
Yes.
But my question would be, would this not go the way of others and have little or no conclusion? And do you see such suits are just public awareness of what's happening? Because we're quite sure the ex-governors will laugh it out, and at the end, nothing will come out of such suits.
You see,
so is it more like a public awareness of what's happening, or a conclusion we'll never get?
If we go statistically, Serap has been, doing a very good job.
Consistent in their
consistently, suits. And we've had, them, having breakthroughs in some of these.
But how many of them have been implemented?
Even if we may not have had enough as to expect them to do. But what you are saying currently is that what Serap is doing now, they have done their own as civil society organization.
Yes.
Who are they fighting for? For me and you. They are not fighting for themselves alone.
Of course not.
But what I'm saying is that it is left for the Nigerians now to understand that what these guys are doing is our own future. What these guys are doing is a clear case of malfeasance, corporate malfeasance within the government sector.
But sir, if you tell me I have a headache or a disease and no drugs to fix it,
what
I'm not just increase.
Let me say, Mr. Mike, you see, this thing that's happening is in two phases. It's a test of the temperament of the citizens.
Okay.
It's a test on the intelligence of Nigerians. Okay. So if we prove that we are dummies and we act it out by the manner of our things,
I would need to rein you in on that.
If we
it's more like insult.
If we know, I say if we prove,
okay.
Because your temperament and your character will tell you who you are. Would you say at the 21st century, when Nigeria is supposed to be a bastion of democracy at this time, that your ex-governors are going home with this like this, whereas the common citizens cannot find food to eat?
But if we talk about just the ex-governors, it will look as if we're hitting a nail somewhere else. You allow me, in our usual tradition,
yes,
of doing more research on issues, we discovered that there are about 14 former governors, both in the Senate and as ministers, who may be collecting pension rolling into billions of naira from their state at the moment. And also, at the moment, according to Serap, over 137 million Nigerians are living in extreme poverty, also made by the removal of fuel subsidy. So do you feel this unfair distribution of collective wealth has always been Nigerian story and will continue to be so if this group like Serap and others do not take a stand on it? Because that's where my question lies. Is this a clear reflection of the Nigerian state where the wealth is not distributed fairly? We have those who have and will continue to have and will grow and continue to have, while we have those who don't have and will fall further into the line of not even getting up or getting anything to stand on. So is this a pure reflection of how this nation has been over the years? And if that's the case, where do we go from here?
Yes, even if I didn't say it's a clear reflection of what we see practically on ground, you should know. Because I do ask people some questions. I said, if there should be anybody that you could say should control wealth or should be wealthy in this country, it should be people from the oil producing communities. Mm-hmm. Because if Nigeria is rich based on their oil wealth, internationally, Nigeria is rich based on her oil wealth, then the communities that harbor that wealth should be what? They should be rich. But today, what do you see? You've discovered that it is a sorry state. The communities are so impoverished. That will tell you the even distribution of resources can only be found within the elite of the Nigerian political class. Just as Thomas Hobbes would tell you that in the habitual state of nature, life is short, life is brutish, life is solitary, and life is anything nasty. That is the reason he canvassed for governance. And what is governance? That there must be equality of rights. And that's the reasons we have constitutions, we have our laws. But in a typical situations where a crop up of individuals masquerade the constitution and the people tries to advance their own personal aggrandizement, against the will and purposes of the people, what you see happening in this country is what we see. So the uneven distribution of wealth has always been a template of governance in this country, right from when crude oil was discovered in 1956 in Olobiri. So the situation will continue not until Nigerians have understood that we are practicing democracy. We are not practicing a tyrannical government. So those tenets of democracy must be seen to have been obeyed by those who have been elected at the helm of offices, the presidency, the governors, the national assemblies, the state assemblies, even trickle down to the council. They are answerable to us. Your constitution has told you that sovereignty belongs to me and you, for whom the government derives all its powers and what? Responsibilities. And it tells you that the primary motive of governance is the welfare and the security of the people. If we, like I do tell you, truly understand what governance is all about, and if actually we are educated, because democracy is meant for civilized people, democracy is meant for enlightened people, democracy is meant for clients, that understand, that could read in between the lines and respect the tenets of the law. So if we actually find ourselves that we are fitting that description, we should begin to interrogate that one man you elected, who is turning the table around, who expropriated the common patrimony for his own personal aggrandizement, to the detriment of the entire populace. So it discovered that it's an abnormal situation that everybody will rise up. You don't even need to pelt a stone. You don't even need, to fire.
A situation
the engagement, just as Serap has started, should be reinforced.
And a situation we've always been in since the 60s, just like you said.
Yes.
But anyway, a situation we'll talk more about. We need to go on a break now. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion as it concerns that very suit instituted by Serap just on Friday, saying that some senators and with our own finding ministers are collecting double pay. And looking at the Constitution, should it ever be allowed to stand? Well, we'll stand on that. Let's go on a break.